turn this around. You know, this is the last game now in the regular group stage, and then they start cross-group play. Down 1 win, 2 losses. That is not what Splyce were hoping for.
Definitely not, but then the other question is this game going to be indicative of whether they have turned it around or not? Origen is, by all means, a weaker opponent.
All right, weaker opponent, but maybe with nothing to lose. Maybe that's where Origen can bite back. As you mentioned, Crepo, blue side, you get those target bans, Jace and Ivan taken off the table. Rengar, LeBlanc, you anticipate Camille to be the last one for Splyce.
I love how the weeks evolve, or even within a week, the pick and ban kind of changes, and you want to get one OP without giving too much OP power to the other side. And that right now is looking for a first pick Kha'Zix on the side of Origen, and then basically saying, nah, I don't really like you playing Varus, I don't like you playing Ivan here in that matchup. They don't really care about the support center unless a weird ban happens.
Weird ban indeed. Malzahar from Splyce, it allows Camille to go through. I actually think Origen have banned blue side Camille in the past.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's why Splyce attempted to let it through.
Also, Splyce have to react, right? If they don't think the trade is worth it, giving the opponents Kha'Zix and only getting maybe mediocre value in return, Zyra plus X, they can say, you know what, you get strong pick, but look what we get. We get the S-tier jungler that remains between Rengar, Ivan, and Kha'Zix, and we always also get the best support right here while banning out that Malzahar Crux pick from Hiva. That is something you can do against weaker teams. They don't have the most refined champion pools. They still very often rely on inferior picks all the time because it's much more comfortable for them. Yeah. They don't know how to play the meta just as right, so they resort to comfort picks, which Hiva has done in the past with the Malzahar.
Has indeed done, and talking about some of those comfort picks, Trashy himself has to step up. He's not looked super comfortable this split. You know, we had much higher hopes for Trashy's impact in the mid to late game. He's going to get his hands on Kha'Zix. We've seen what Kha'Zix can do in the early game. Origen, they've locked in Rek'Sai.
Yeah, and so the start of the draft looks like, ooh, Origen, they get Camille. But then look what they have to pick up on second rotation. A Rek'Sai jungle on Wisdom with his kind of shallow champion pool. Cabochard hinted at it on the desk. It's okay, but it's not the best champion here. And then the MF counter pick into Zyra. On paper, very strong, but you have to play it well. And that is where we have seen Hiva and Tab struggling, both in the synergy department and just raw laning prowess.
Mechanical decision-making and synergy. That's what we'll keep track of once we get to the laning phase.
Not that it's hard to play, though.
Yeah.
It's really just press E 5 times per minute, and then you're good. You run out of mana, go back to base, come back. It's like it's like a flowchart. Can I E? Yes. Should I E? Yes. Well, press E. You are now graduated at the School of MF Support.
Oh, I like that. Can I press E? I'm going to keep my eyes on that. Taking a look, it's actually going to be an ADC ban here for Origen. Ashe is gone. Varus is still, he was banned in the first rotation, so Jhin is the last rotation. Kobe has played that 4 times already, actually, his most played.
This could actually be a flex. 7.2 Metal. This might actually be a flex if they ban out Jhin right now. And then I would actually appreciate Origen's drafting here. Because Splyce is going into second ban phase with all the AD carries open and first pick. So they expected to at least get one. Because if Origen just ban Ashe, they will pick up Jhin. But if they just now ban both, and Origen have picked in the MF's AD carry, they may actually have a leg up in the draft.
Ooh,
that could be cool. Yeah, there we go. It's MF AD carry, I think.
Okay, MF AD carry.
Might be.
If that ends up being the case, then what does Hiva run into the Zyra support? You know, we've touched a lot on sort of that counter. Hiva has played a number of things. He's played the Karma a bunch in the past, still available, and Kobe's going to get a comfortable pick in Caitlyn, something he's played a lot in the past.
I think they're still essentially worth flexing it. If Kobe didn't pick his AD carry here, then they would have maybe picked away to Caitlyn, then they had a range advantage on Caitlyn plus MF support. Right now, they're going to see, do I want to lane MF into this Caitlyn, yes or no? And then they can decide. So it actually has a lot of value right now as a flex pick, but we've yet to see it really played.
All right, so we've touched a lot on sort of a lot of the other lanes. What is Senkax considering in this mid lane? I see a lot of AD damage early to mid, obviously. Mickey Zyra will get more AP as the game scales, but Taliyah?
Yeah, Taliyah is the first thing that comes up for me because Syndra's banned, Oriana's banned. They're kind of the safe picks. We see LeBlanc off the board. There is always that Ryze that is still open. Super strong pick. Cassio Ryze matchup is debatable. It's a skill matchup, but based on how Nehyun has been playing, I think you can pick anything into him.
And Fishy Business sniffed out at the start. Crepo, Misfortune, AD carry.
And again, it wasn't necessarily decided as an AD carry, but I think the power of the flex pick came through, especially in catching Splyce off guard by banning both Ashe and Jhin. And now the Varus ban makes so much more sense. It was kind of hidden in the fact of, no, we're just not giving you Varus on first rotation. And then turns out Splyce valued other picks earlier because they were forced to lock in their favorite kind of Shen pick. and then a strong jungler, etc. So they kind of got surprised, I think, by this MF 80 carry.
So MF 80 carry plus Cassio, a lot of short range, the exception of that bullet time maybe on the side of Origen. Corki mid lane, something that Senkax has played a lot of splits. It's becoming more and more meta, isn't it?
I like it. I love Corki mid overall because it has a hard time like losing matchups, especially at 6. Even if you're slightly behind, you always have clear. I think Cassio seems to have like better traits though. Like if we run like a trade scenario in our heads, if he's like level 3, if you sidestep Phosphorus Bomb somehow, you're gonna definitely win those trades.
Twin Fangs over and over and over. We'll see exactly how Nahyun handles this matchup.
Now I really hope Origen gets a win here, and I hope Leduc has a bonus for victory in his contract, because then he can buy a new tie. Because I'm not a fan of the Leduc tie. Look at it. It's a monstrosity.
It's on branding. It's on branding. You know, sometimes you need to just maintain that image.
Yeah, I guess it worked. We're talking about Ducks right now.
We're in a new year, and you've not worn a tie once. I mean, I think 1 showdown out of 6. I'm really disappointed. The tie master.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
No, exactly. It's problems. Yesterday, you weren't on the show, and there was a lot of panic backstage. Like, who's going to fix the ties? I couldn't do it. That was for sure.
Yeah, it's actually quite sad. Nobody can actually tie a tie here.
I know. You seriously are like master tier. But we're going to bring back to the team compositions on your screen. Guys, jump on Twitter. #OGWin, #SpyWin. Both of these teams really desperate for wins. Splyce, 1 series win, 2 series losses.
Who would have a bigger blow brought to them if they lose here? Because that's actually interesting, because Origen, like, at this point, they may as well be used to losing rather, whereas Splyce, if they go 1-3 in their opening group stage versus expectations versus reality.
I think the fact that Vitality is 1-3, you would then have 3 teams at 1-3. So I think it's more impactful for Splyce if they lose this, because then you've got this clear 1-2, and then the rest of the team's fighting for that final playoff spot.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good solution to that question. We have a minor issue here with Senkax's mouse. Obviously needs that rapid movement to play Corki. Very hard champion to play.
Is there a high IQ button on Corki?
No, I think you can play Corki mid by binding Phosphorus Bound to scroll up and Rockets to scroll down, and I think you can just you can rest your left hand. If you just have like a knee-jerk reaction for Valkyrie, I think you can actually play with one hand.
Trying to remember at All-Star when Faker and Bjergsen were playing together, who was on the mouse? Was it Faker on the mouse and Bjergsen on keyboard?
Yeah.
That was tough because he had no real impact at all.
He's just like pressing buttons.
Yes.
Like, I'm helping Faker, guys. Look at me. I am responsible for this elo. That's how supports feel when they play Janna.
Yeah. Yep, pretty much.
It's
actually.
like, I can shield you now, I can shield you in 2 seconds. Look at all these choices I have.
And that's why we don't see Janna right now. No, not really. Camille, Sartorius. Now, week 1, Origen actually banned Camille on blue side. That's always like a big indicator.
Yeah, multiple times. They kept going for the Camille blue side ban, and that usually indicates that you can't play the champion. They now have much more practice. It's still a risk leaving her open, but teams seem slightly more comfortable doing it, especially as the pick and ban meta evolves. You will always have this. When you have very stale purple side bans, we saw this in the Worlds meta where I think Darius and Zillion and etc. were broken OP. Eventually teams find a way to do the right bans on blue side to really put you in a bind. And that's when you need to start being flexible and leaving up some of these OP picks, or leaving them all open and throwing a curveball. It's like, yeah, which one do you want?
And I mean, this time around, Splyce managed to get Kha'Zix and Zyra.
Yeah.
And the cost, of course, was Camille. So I really like to see the impact of those first rotation
I've listened to your cast.
Yes, thank you.
You talked about it with the visual, how you like tracking the impact of these picks.
It's especially important in a game like this because yesterday the Shen into Camille matchup is something that was demonstrated, and it was won by H2K over Vitality. And now Wunder and Splyce have to do exactly the same thing in exactly the same scenario.
Definitely. It will be interesting to track. Wunder is he's just a smart player, so he will be able to do that. We have to see if Sartorius also just goes a little bit too aggressive. Because when you're in a losing team, sometimes you just want to be the guy that swings the early game open. And risks may bring rewards, but they also may bring failure.
Yeah, risks. Double-edged sword, isn't it? Can get you ahead, can get you behind. We are loading onto the Rift. That mouse has been swapped out for Senkax. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Origen versus Splyce.
TT Tours.
There we go. All of the towers still very healthy at the start of the game. No surprises to anybody there.
And look at it. I hope this wasn't pre-recorded.
Oh.
If it's actually even Infernal.
Cripple.
It is.
Infernal Drake first.
Yeah.
That is on fire as we start off game 1 here on Saturday.
Wow, yeah, I'm truly getting the best, the best quick shot material here.
It's all right. I'm saving the best for later. Don't you worry. It goes downhill, I promise. Double exhaust on both sides. I think with the amount of damage that can come down, and
you don't run Ignite anymore. I mean, you can get one single link kill, and even then you can't really capitalize on them. Especially with how proficient the teams are getting at swapping around on the map right now. Whenever we see bot lanes finally get an edge, the other lane just disappears and it goes top.
Nice. Clever evolution as teams are starting to now play the map later as well.
Yeah. I mean, let's delve into some of these lanes then. Since I'm on the desk, it's always going to be bot lane first. The MF 80 carry, it's just super strong because of the lethality. Look at the first buy as well. When you're playing against the poke support, you want to kind of go longsword 3 potions. That has been an evolution that's been here since week 2. That means that you can push for, I think, 4th wave, roughly 25 CS. You should have the gold necessary to then upgrade to Serrated Dirk. And at that point, you have a really strong power spike. You have good early trades with Nami. You may still get pushed in, because traditionally MF isn't that great into Caitlyn because of the range disparity. But she is good against Zyra because she can one-shot plants. A Q pop-up can just instantly kill the first plant, or the double bounce kills 2 plants at once.
So let's see if Tabs can pull that one off though. Getting that double up to it, but you can see the plants instantly being pushed forward.
Yeah, look at the focus on the minions here. Obviously, Mickey and Kobe are veterans in that bottom lane. Trade minions first, trade champions later. And it also changes the harass pattern for Hiva. He can't walk up aggressively, because that will happen.
And that's why Caitlyn, or MF into Caitlyn, is not a super favorable
Not yet.
match.
You need to be able to slow them down. And look, Tabs is trying to CS frantically. Hiva got poked too much. And you see the inexperience with this bot lane. They're not playing together. They're not predicting what's going to happen. They learn that they will get poked if they walk up by walking up. You should do that in scrims.
Should know that in scrims. And I think some credit to Kobe. Seems to be weaving those auto attacks in between waves. He's caught every CS as well. So a lot of credit to this, at least level 1, level 2. But it has to snowball further. That pressure has to keep up, doesn't it?
And jungler is very, very standard here. Top side, they both got a leash, so we know where they started. There's no Ivern unpredictability on which side of the map he starts, which means with the Scarlet Grab and then the Ward and Tri-Brush, Mickey and Kobe now have the liberty to keep playing this push war. I don't think we'll see much happen here in this bottom lane until the Serrated Dirk buy, so you can move the focus to other lanes.
And there we go. Sartorius jumping onto Wonder. Tactical sweep in reverse, and Sartorius gets that passive shield, but Wonder under so much pressure. Look at the minimap. Wisdom's making his way up.
Yeah, if Wisdom can get up there for the classic level 3 dive that we saw in long gone days like Season 3, the Ignite Renekton days, this could swing open the matchup. He's actually trying to find the enemy jungler first. Trashy.
Ooh,
each one camps. Has the path top to defend. But this is good for Splyce because you know you're not getting dove right now. So I feel like Wisdom, maybe slight pathing ever, maybe it's greedy to go for that dive, we don't know. But Sartorius at least is playing with knowledge of where the jungler is.
Definitely a lot of damage. Kobe gets caught by the Aqua Prison, but he's able to trade backwards, and Tabs,
look at Tabs.
Can't trade. He's farming.
He walks up, he's like, too late. I'm just going to get poked and walk back to my turret. So there's no synergy on the timing of the bubble. I mean, it's already hard to land a bubble, but you got to land it when your AD carry can punish it, otherwise it's wasted.
All right, Wonder throws down that Spirit's Refuge, but still under pressure. I'm taking a look. Doran's shield, TP is up, and Trashy's waiting in the wings, while Wisdom is now moving towards the mid lane.
And this is the crucial point. Can he dodge the gank?
All right, we're about to find out. Trashy's level 4, gonna make his way in. Sartori's got enough mana for the hook shot.
Good. You can fight him. You can fight him with minions, actually.
Good
I think
damage.
he should have fought him right there. Because 6 minions and a cannon, that's a champion's worth of damage, so you're essentially fighting 2v1.
On the bright side, now Wonder's all of that pressure has been relieved.
Yeah, good wave control. You push in early, you find a jungler, then you let it bounce. As the wave is bouncing, you're losing very few creeps overall. Look at Sartorius. Prime position to pick it up, and now he has the wave control again. Because this will push out, and he can stack a wave and make it so that he always has kind of allies with him, which means Wunder can never fight him. So this is good wave control, good start for Orgy, especially on the side of Sartorius.
So Sartorius showing some mastery of the Camille in lane. But we need to see how the team interacts with that champion. Yesterday, Vitality weren't really able to capitalize on that side lane pressure. And that's a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, 1-3-1 is just generally hard to play, especially because you need a lead to do it. Look at it, Kobe is just keeping his range advantage. That's Caitlyn's main strength. So if Hiva wanted to do what he just did, he would need Tabs to do exactly that before, right? Tab slows him down, so the range disparity disappears, then Hiva can poke. But these guys are now working together as a unit. They're not calling up and down at the start. This is like one of the main like communication tricks you can do in a bottom lane, is you basically tell each other up. and then you both walk up, and then down. And then like you don't need to say like use X or Y spells, but it's definitely that they're struggling with it right now.
Did you feel that Kobbe and Mickey were much more in synergy in terms of how their poke pattern was running, and or was just Kobbe just being Caitlyn?
Yeah, no, they were more in synergy because they practiced during Summer Split. This is something you develop over many games of duo queue and just scrims overall, but it's still quite hard. But at the same time, there's no CS advantage, so it doesn't really matter what happened.
Yeah, some kudos to Tabs there, managing to farm under pressure. Let's step back. We've touched a lot on the individual players, but you know, for Origen, in week 2, they had the 9th highest amount of kills scored, so second last.
Yeah.
They had the most deaths per game. They had the least assists per game. Now they went 0-2, you know, 0-4 rather, and they're really, really struggling in every single metric when it comes to decision making, when it came to pick and bans. And this is now where Origen have to try to turn this one around. 6.5 minutes in, the laning has started okay.
It started okay, but it's obviously not the point where they usually falter. They've had some bad matchups here and there, but it's the crucial period will be from 9 to like 15 minutes, I think. That's where teams start hitting level 6 and there's more variables to take into account. Roaming support, jungle ganks, power spikes, item buys, etc.
Actually, that's especially important with the special delivery and the Stand United. Both going to become available very soon. Wonder, I think actually stepped out of that tactical sweep. Hook shot, flashed away from. Respect from Wonder.
That's the flash. There's a cool interaction you can do with the second part of that hook shot. You can carry over the stun particle if you flash after it. So I want to see if Sartorius has mastered that, because then they could technically set up 100% gank. There's also nobody can knock Camille out of her ulti, because that's the way you stop it. If you play like an Alistar support, you knock her out, the bonds break and the person trapped inside can actually walk out.
That's important to note, because there's 4 squishy targets on Splyce.
Oh yeah.
So anybody that Sartorius singles out, the expectation is they should be able to be deaded.
And remember, Jarvan MF back in the day, you would put one guy in a cage and then just put the bullet time on him. That's what they want to do right now. They focus on either Trashy or Senkux, and then Tabs, all he has to do is press R. And then you really enjoy playing League of Legends.
The new baby cage.
Yep. Ooh, look at the double up. This is why MF is so disgusting though, because you can't harass her very much so after a single item, because she gets lethality, which is buffed. Her Q gets more damage if it kills a minion. It's so easy to kill those back minions, so you just always have this implied zone on this MF 80 carry.
And that's what Tabs is using to stay relevant in farm. I mean, 8 minutes of pressure under the tower, no assistance yet, and it's not hurt him. We caught a glimpse there of Semkux grabbing the blue buff.
Yeah.
We've not looked at Nahyun versus Semkux really at all. They're even on CS. They continue to trade, but it's really, in my opinion, when Semkux starts to roam first with that package, that things become very interesting.
It's when they're doing right here what they're doing. Setting up the rotation to bot side. That has been Splyce's go-to to break open a game. So they'll push mid, have a control ward right there, and fall. This is also where we've seen failure come out from some of the weaker teams. Now Trashy's going for aggressive invade. Look, Mickey's with him. Support. And this is all the precursor to that roam bot. And I think Wisdom got it because Trashy smoked just a tad too early. 47 health remained. And Wisdom picked up a red buff.
All right, so a little bit of challenge there from Trashy and Mickey, but it doesn't really result in anything. Wonder decided to teleport back to top lane. He's got himself the Ninja Tabi, cloth armor, and that Ruby Crystal, but Sartorius already chunked Wonder down to, what, 30% of his hit points?
Yeah.
That's tough.
If Origen can find a way to get a deep ward, they can actually outplay this bottom lane, because if Hiva gets level 6, puts the wave down into a bubble, it's guaranteed CC, or if Tabs just presses R, because it takes 2 seconds for Mickey X to actually knock somebody up. Bullet time is 3 seconds. Like, 2/3 of the damage usually is enough to kill somebody, so it's really hard for Zyra to kind of play into MF.
Especially because Tabs is doing so well at poking down Kobbe. You know, Kobbe again, low HP, low mana, no consumables. The double up spam is working, but the cost here, the tower. Tower first blood, so juicy as we get close to 10 minutes here for Splyce.
And the vision. The entire river is warded by Splyce. So that's a pathway where every time Corki steps into a brush, everybody at Origen is going to take a step backwards. Like, yeah, I don't want to be that guy that gets roamed on because mid forgot to call MIA. It's the same for Sartorius, but he has the vision on the top side at least, so that's good.
Yeah, opposite vision, isn't it? Sartorius being enabled in the top lane, Splyce enabling their duo.
But how do you beat a Shen? You attack him first, and Wisdom has kind of poked his head in. It's like, ah, they're farming. He walked away. Not much is happening. So Wisdom really needs to swing this matchup open. Maybe now.
All right, so Wonder's backing away into his tower. I don't really know if you want a tower dive. A Shen, there's no flash for him, by the way.
Yeah.
still on cooldown from the last time that hook shot gank came
If
from.
they see Wisdom go top lane right now, this turret is 100% dead. So they need to trade objectives. It'll be at least turret for Infernal, so they need to get a kill to make this worth it.
Okay, Sartorius and Wisdom. Where is the CC? Tower first blood picked down bottom. Spirit's Refuge is buying some time. That's a good taunt. Wonder, he gets one back. May even get a second. Sartorius escapes with his life, and it's Nahyun with the kill.
Nahyun arrives just in time because it was looking very, very grim for Origen. They were forced to make this dive happen because otherwise they would lose too much, and they still botch it. They didn't wait for the mid laner. They could have waited a second longer, but they lose bot turret, Dragon, and because Nahyun is still top, they're on the verge of maybe even losing mid turret.
There's so much damage here for Splyce. 4-man stack, 2 towers, a dragon, and a reply kill.
And this is what happens when you pull the trigger too late. You think you're trading, but you're not trading efficiently, and you're losing way too much.
All of this setup from Splyce. Look at that.
Yeah, and everybody throws whatever they have in the pan when it's too late. Look at it right now. They're like, oh guys, we're losing bot turret, we're gonna lose Infernal. We have to dive. Nahyun is about 5 seconds away. If they just wait a little bit longer, they can get him. They also don't bait out the Shen W. Like, Wisdom flashes too late. Just try and dive in the, if Wisdom just stayed, they could have killed him already. Look at it. Nahyun has to waste our flash. Tabs just wasted his ulti on 3 CS on the wave. They've lost 2 turrets. This is what keeps teams down.
Yeah.
And it's not any big mistakes. It's small errors in communication and nobody wanting to pull the trigger because nobody wants to be the guy that loses the game on stage because he went far forward too rash.
Yeah, too aggressive to give your opponent that advantage. I mean, look, Wisdom started that dive. He showed his face top, got a little bit of pressure earlier. Wisdom's early game has been relatively good.
Did he even tank first? Because Sartorius should tank first because he resets turret aggro with his ulti.
Unfortunately, he didn't. I didn't catch that myself.
Yeah, forgot to watch for that.
Taking a look at some of Wisdom's stats, as you can see him on screen, lowest jungle proximity percentage. His goal difference at 15 is decent because he often picks up some of those kills. But unfortunately, as the game progresses out, Wisdom just doesn't seem to be on the same page. No, that's not fair. Origen do not seem to be on the same page as one another.
And while I have a lot of criticism for the organization, especially in how they've kind of fallen from grace, I do think it's worth considering kind of the player mentality here. And how much it blows. How much it must suck to be on Origen right now. Like, you show up to the studio with full smiles and hopes and scrims and dreams, and then you walk in and you already find yourself losing again every single week.
I mean, you would know just how sucky that feels, Crepo. Wonder's now going to get dove on down in the bottom. Tactical sweep tags. Wisdom's looking for the dive. Hook shot. Bounces goes up, and Sartorius gets out of range. This time round, they make it count.
They need to crack this bot lane matchup open. They need to keep hitting Wonder where it hurts and get that Camille fed. And Nahyun needs to survive somehow.
All right, Nahyun, Petrifying Gaze is available. Can he find his man? Waiting for the fire. Leaps for Trashy. Sidesteps it. That was great.
Yeah, really well played. Hop and backwards. Because you know it's coming. Gotta show them the booty. Otherwise you get spanked. Ironically similar to casting.
This is a tidal wave. Here comes Wonder. He flashed earlier, so he couldn't extend the taunt, and that means Hiva blows his flash. Easy target next time, Splyce engage. That caught me off guard. I gotta expect the blows back. If I'm gonna dish him out, I gotta expect it back.
Definitely there. Trashy now picking up a red buff, Spoils of War. And now it's 1-3-1 time for Splyce. Just to push pressure though, and then eventually Sanklix wants to peel off. But look at it. Beautiful setup, the poke. And then you need to hit him in the air. If you do it too late, yeah, Trashy turns out. That's beautiful, well played. That's where you're really happy that this game doesn't have turn speeds. Yes. Otherwise, Cassiopeia would be a lot stronger.
Absolutely. Splyce now, nearly 2,000 gold ahead. 2 kills to 2. When it comes to like decision-making and proactive play, Splyce just
wasn't
snowballing
so proactive though. I mean, they really set it up. It's like, guys, we're invading your jungle to set up vision. I wonder what our next move is gonna be. That's how they got outplayed against H2K when they played them. They set up that rotation, H2K was ready for it, and Splyce did it too late. H2K bot lane just simply walked away. It's like, wow, haven't seen this one before. Push mid, rotate bot. The problem is that Origen just wasn't ready.
That allowed Splyce to extend ahead. So, kudos to Splyce, starting this game off relatively well. But now I guess it gets a little more interesting, doesn't it? Sunfire kept being worked on for Wonder. There's no more outer turrets, so now all of a sudden Splyce have to extend that vision. and be more at risk of Rek'Sai, Camille, Cassio jumping on
Yeah,
them.
and the Misfortune will become stronger relatively early because she spikes on 2 items especially. It's the core lethality build right now. Everybody's building Youmu's, Drakthar, Edge of Night. That's I just give me all the lethality, I'll take it all. And then you hope to snowball with that. Because if Tabs finds somebody who's in that cage from Sartorius or is knocked up by Wisdom, or God forbid if Nehun actually lands an ulti, then you can really do some damage.
It's going to be tough for Nehun to actually land that ulti. I mean, by time Kha'Zix is jumping into his face with Shen,
yeah,
there is some risk involved.
I want
right?
to see him do the cool kind of fake out R flash where you aim one way and then flash the other way, and the animation comes out left, but you're actually stunning right, which apparently is intended.
Intended.
It's really hard to play against. It's frustrating.
We'll see if Nehun decides to pull that trigger, because right now it's Sartorius that's going to be jumped on.
Yeah, but he has no vision. He
No
be face
vision.
checking.
Rooted down, 2 plants in his face. Here comes Trashy. Hook shot, tactical sweeps buying time. A little bit of a heal from Sartorius, but not enough damage just yet.
All right, the Cook's in the mid lane with the package. Splyce putting pressure on the bot lane. Again, they only want to do 1-3-1 when they push out a side lane. They seem to be content letting their top lane push out, and they're looking for a siege setup.
Well, not on the side of Origen.
Origen looking to pull a trigger somewhere.
That's a teleport from Sartorius. But
Yeah, they want to zone them off the mid lane so they can siege mid themselves and then use just an all-in engage from Sartorius and MF. I like it. It's not the best play they could make, but it's a play.
how well is it being executed? Let's review that after a potential fight. Splyce, brute forcing their way back into lane, and now Origen, they've lost priority and positioning.
Yeah. Hiva could open with wave, but there's too much distance. They're also essentially fighting about a dragon too.
Well, take a look at this. Wisdom caught out by that grasping roots, and Wonder with flash just about available.
Yeah, the wave's gone, so now they're essentially trading Raptors for dragon. It's not a play.
Didn't work out, right?
Nope.
I mean, the idea, okay.
Maybe,
execution, not great.
So now Satori is going to move top to that already pushing wave, looking to put pressure there. There were 2 wards on Hiva. So again, like right there, why doesn't Hiva move into the enemy jungle, place 2 wards and then base? Right? Give your top laner some vision. Look where Sartorius is right now. If you toggle his vision, he's not going to see anything in the jungle except maybe a shard of vision on red. Like, he has to guess, are they here? I don't know. Can I push? Can I pressure? What do I do? So he backs out.
That's the only one.
There was 2 wards in Hiva's inventory. Like, he could have placed them. That's the small mistakes that add up in the end that leave Origen behind.
The question is, Krepper, I've heard you talk a few times over the last couple of weeks about how teams are slightly more advanced when it comes to macro play, map play, decision making. Where does Origen find that information? You know, we can see a demonstration that is not there yet.
I think you just kind of have to grow up in the scene. Like, solo queue players will almost have this basics. So anybody that watches a lot of VODs, or if you want to be an amateur player, like, that's the fundamentals you need to have down. Like, an entry-level rookie player coming into Season 7 will whoop my ass in Season 2 and 3 with the knowledge they have embedded in them, because anything that is new in pro play gets filtered down to kind of solo queue a year or 2 later. Like rotations, they're so standard now and implied in the higher level games.
I think it's so important you bring that up because a lot of the players on the Origen squad didn't find success even in Challenger. And we'll expand on that a little later because Wisdom gets jumped on the bubble, locks down Mickey. There's the tidal wave. That's a lot of CC, but the bullet time won't find a kill. Stranglethorn separates Origen, and they're running for their lives. Sartorius' baby cage held no one down. Hiva and Nehun, that's the flash forward for Senkax. Almost gets the double. Looking for the rockets, the high IQR.
I mean, that was actually a skill shot. That was a good play. Don't downplay it. It only counts if it's Syndra, Trevor.
Okay.
It was point and click. We make that joke. But yeah, no, the pick off on the Zyra, the classic. But then there's the Shen, of course. Really quick reaction from Wunder. Splyce playing very controlled this game. They're just waiting for the play in mid lane as well. Origen, they were kind of forcing something. Splyce, they don't buy into the fight immediately. They just keep going for objectives, turrets, dragons left and right. And then when Origen overstep on a pick, there's a swift reaction. Very often you see teams get tired or they forget that they're playing such a slow game and the Shen ulti doesn't come in time. But look, instant ulti onto Mickey, who then has room to flash, ulti and E. Reset. Sartorius gets focused because he's in the front line. Nehun enters the fight while 2 of his teammates have already flashed out. Right? The timing difference right there. That is the issue for Origen right now. And look at him, he predicts the
movement.
that he will walk to base.
Good shot, Senkax. Saw that one coming. And Splyce, 6,000 gold in the head now.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you used a great word, like controlled play.
Yeah.
Because Splyce set up the potential tower dive bottom, ended up responding to a dive top, and that's what started this snowball that is now turning into an avalanche. Like, Origen are going to run out of options. They can't split push with Camille. Nahyun is not likely to get a very good ultimate off.
Yeah, and they have nobody that actually wants to go to their second side lane either, so they're kind of matching Splyce 4-1. And Sartorius isn't even matching the Shen in the bottom lane. Usually when you play a matchup, top lane versus top lane, you gotta win it so hard that you can smash him. Problem is Sartorius is never dealing with the Shen. Wunder is just pushing in, and now just walking to his team to prevent himself from having to use a teleport, because if it's a 5-on-5, Splyce will definitely take it.
Splyce reacting to a potential Baron rush there. Backed away, dropped themselves a ward in the pit, and then instantly realized there was no threat.
Wisdom just used tunnel on the minimap, so he has no tunnel left.
I'm going to get run down here. It looks like even flashes out to safety. One more tunnel available. Not going to be enough. The farm alarm signals Wisdom's death.
Yeah, you can just see the lack of setup in Origen. They're like, okay, let's all walk to mid lane, then figure out what we're doing. Wisdom's like, I want some raves. Oh, Kabe.
All right, Kabe's going to be the target. Stand United's available. Very good tidal wave. Where's the Aqua Prison? Sidestep by Kabe. Sartorius is down. Kabe has followed shortly, but a defensive flash from Tabs. Flash over from Trashy, and this will be the ace. Kill secured by Wonder.
Yeah, good reaction for Splyce. OG grasping that strong. Similar story. We've been saying it over and over. This was a last-ditch effort from Origen to fight their way out, but again, the mistakes were already made. We can't judge them too much on display. It's fight your way out, at least. Don't just sit in the base. I like the fact that they're trying, but there's some clear communication errors on this Origen squad.
They're not on the same page, and now Trashy and Senkax going to try to put some damage onto Wisdom. This time, the tunnel saves his life.
For now.
Yeah. I'm holding my breath on this one. I'm holding my breath.
Don't jinx it. Because he obviously wants to get to Baron and find out what the dots on the radar bleeps are doing. But right here, like they're 4v5, they see Kabe, they engage. Look how far the follow-up is. So the wave comes out. Kiva's dead as he throws the bubble. Nahyun tries to get Kabe, but it's too late. Tabs kinda unleashes late on the ulti. And then the reset party's already started. Grim.
It's grim, but you know what? Like, if we look from the other direction, this was a series that Splyce were meant to win. The Splyce were meant to 2-0, and this has been a very clean game for Splyce. Not, you know, they're not really throwing.
No, they're playing
clean, controlled.
Yeah, clean League of Legends right now.
Yeah.
They're always identifying the right lanes where Wunder goes, and that is like the beauty in a lot of macro plays comes from the setup. So when you see a play unfold, you need to kind of go back, especially in like a VOD review, like a minute and a half, and like who walks out of base where? What vision does he have? How does he use that vision to kind of pressure the wave? Does he then wait for somebody else to show up on the map? Because if you have 4 dots missing, you can't push out. If there's only 1 dot missing, you can probably push out. You're probably safe if you're a Shen. And then that pressure gets used to draw Sartorius or Wisdom back to the bottom lane. The Shen peels off, there's always this pressure. And it feels like Origen is always playing from behind, even in even gold.
Yeah.
And now the trap line is there. It's so hard.
It's difficult, isn't it? Not only do you have to get to the trap line, you've then got to somehow get through Zyra. And if by somehow you do that, I mean, Sartorius on this Camille. Trinity Force.
It's your win condition here.
Yeah.
That you beat the Shen in the side lane for pressure.
Running away. Wonder's even going to flash engage. The ultimatum comes down. And all of that just for the Baron. But there you go. Shen into Camille. Looking like it's going to go 2-0 in week 3. That's confident play from Wonder, though. Like, to flash with the taunt.
That's not even good play, by the way.
I didn't say good, I said confident.
That's just cocky. He's like, yo, bro, look at me. I can waste my flash. I don't need it in a fight. I could use it to finish the game out, but I'd rather just try and 1v1 you. Even though I'm about to get Baron buff, which pushes in the wave anyways. Like, completely unnecessary. Here, Origen trying to fight back.
All right, here comes Sartorius. Tactical sweep finds no one. Trashy's the recipient of Stand United. He velks forward. Ends up costing him a lot. That's a good stun. Mickey was caught in the back end, but the snake is burnt down. Tabs, shoot faster, man. Doesn't get the damage out. And Origen, they lose 1 for 2.
Yeah, beat a hand solo. Don't be Guido. Shoot first, Tabs.
Oh, that's exceptional. Wonder steps in, even interrupts the recalls. Senkax uses the exhaust, and Sartorius is down. 2 more kills. This is the Nexus as well. They've got Baron-empowered minions. Another minion wave coming down. The teleport to buy a few more seconds. And Crepo, the shortest win of Spring was 25:05. Splyce are just 20 seconds shorter than that. Mayhem gonna try one last attempt. Stranglethorns locks him down. Wisdom on the back end. Such a tough fight to call because you know the Nexus will die shortly. And Splyce make a statement against Origen.
A super clean sweep. Before the season, we expected this. Coming into the weeks, though, Splyce have shown weaknesses, but they've definitely shored them up in the few days of practice. And that's what they want. They want statement games right now. Because if you're heading into cross-group play, you want to play clean without having to give away too much information on draft either.
It's very important when you have a supposed top-of-the-table team playing a bottom-of-the-table team to have games like this. Yesterday, G2 had a perfect game against Giants. Management backstage from Splyce. Pretty big smiles, and just got it confirmed from our stats team. That was the largest gold difference at 25 minutes. At game screen end, it was around 14,000 gold.
I mean, that's like digging for stats.
I know it is, but it's still, it's more of a...
At exactly 25 minutes and 23 seconds, this was the largest gold split, gold lead on the single day here.
I could do that one, because it's also true. It's also true. But look, Splyce, clean game. Crepo, the guys have heard what we've had to say. Splyce fired first in this best of 3. Let's find out about how that tower dive went so badly wrong in the top.
Well, luckily Stress is going to be here to break it down for us, because that first tower dive was a bit of a catastrophe and did sort of start the snowball. It definitely did, not sort of. Started the snowball in the favor of Splyce. So let's take a chance now to look at that replay. We'll bring that one up. And Stress, why don't you run us through this?
The key context on this is that Splyce are making the play on bottom side at the same time, so you expect the tower trade to be even at least. So you expect towers fall, and Wonder's probably going to die here. But as they go in, the first person to take tower aggro is Wisdom. And Crepo was saying this, Sartorius should be the one tanking first. It resets off the ult. Wonder manages to pick up a second kill, pick up a kill in the 1v2, which realistically shouldn't be happening in that situation. Cabo, what did you make of that? You played the Shen Camille matchup yesterday yourself.
Yeah, I mean, Shen is really like hard champion to them, obviously, because you can't auto-attack him under his own and he has stoned. And like, I think it starts off with like the bot lane, since it's Zyra Kate can always push, they get the tower lower and lower, and then with the Corki package and Shenul, they start pressuring it. So, yeah, Cassiopeia like had to move top, but then she didn't push mid. So at the end of the play, they lose first bot tower, Infernal Drake, and mid tower, and the trade-off they only get top tower pretty much. So after that, it was probably lost actually the game, and yeah, it was pretty hard play to pull off.
So I'm curious, was the right call from Origen to move up and kind of to take down that first tier 1 tower, or should they have been playing around bottom side, knowing that they couldn't really risk the trade? Is this a fumble in execution, or is this the wrong call?
I mean, it's pretty hard to say because, yeah, as I said already, the bot tower is really low, and with the package, they can pressure it. Even if Origen start to go bot, they're gonna be slower on the play and they're gonna lose it. So yeah, they have to go kinda for the trade, but it's so hard already that it's
not really set up well in that exchange.
That's the difficult thing about where the draft actually has like almost a specific influence in that play happening. As you said, it's inevitable that tower gets pushed in unless Wisdom goes bottom lane and helps early on. And couldn't really find the space. There wasn't really the opportunity to because of a lot of the warding from Splyce. So draft had a big impact on that one set of players as well.
Well, and one of the things that we talked about earlier today was Wisdom kind of needing to step up for the team to do well. We were hoping maybe to see a Kha'Zix or a Rengar here. They're still defaulting him back to that Rek'Sai. Is this the right choice by Origen, or do we need to see something with more impact coming out of the jungle in terms of kind of raw carry potential?
So on its own, I don't mind Rek'Sai. I actually think it's good for Wisdom, and there are a couple of junglers that I do like their Rek'Sai. The problem is that when you're running Rek'Sai Camille, trying to get a fight started against Kha'Zix, Shen, Zyra, Kate, Corki, like you're never going to catch anybody without flashing on that Rek'Sai, and we saw it a couple of times. You flash forward, get the knock-up, and suddenly you die, and everybody else survives on the enemy team, and you can't get that fight fast enough, especially when Origen just weren't on the same page.
Yeah, Cabo, I mean, what do you think is the ideal execution when you draft the team comp that Origen has put together? Let's assume you can survive the early game. How should this composition play out?
I mean, if you expect your bot to go like that far behind already and like they're gonna lose the tower, maybe you have to go for something like Elise and try to even more pressure up the top. We saw Shen lost flash pretty early on, and then with Elise it's obviously much like easier to dive, and then start trying to trade, because since Casio had to move top, when they lose mid tower, they lose all the pressure, and that's why after I think they fight, like they lose the fight because when they try to get vision control back, they have their mid pushed in every time, and like they're already so far behind.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that. And then, of course, the game, of course, Origen did make 1 or 2 attempts to kind of come back. I want to take a look at one of those team fights now, specifically one that occurred around the Baron pit. At first, it seemed very good, and as we start to look at it, I mean, you can see a pretty solid setup that comes in here from OG. They are a little caught out, but everything comes together, and it's just still not enough.
And this is the reach. Wisdom has to go forward, try and connect. It's a nice bubble to start it off by Huber, but everything else comes a little too slow in the fight. Nation takes so much damage to start it off that he's already running back away. And you can see all of these damage dealers from Origen with no health. And everybody from Splyce is pretty healthy, apart from Trashy and some of the initial catches. And honestly, that was a kind of time where Splyce never allowed Origen to fulfill that composition where it's, you know, the Camille cage gets set up, the bullet time layered on top, and you get enough kills to win the fight.
I mean, even with that setup, though, I want to ask, does this composition generally win team fights, or are you just banking on kind of that dream setup where ults are going to hit, and Cabo specifically? I mean, can Origen win team fights in an even game?
It can win team fight, but like it's much easier for Splyce to play out their comp because they just have to peel for the carry when Camille goes in, and then when Caitlyn is like just gonna do her damage, it's gonna be fine. So they have to play on the side lane pressure, and then when Shen is ahead in this matchup, like even Camille can't do anything, like not even get the side pressure. So yeah.
All right, well, of course, Splyce have now chosen blue side coming into our next game, so I'm curious, what do you think needs to change here for Origen if they want to even up the series, if they want to push it to a game 3?
I think the problem for Origen is, I mean, they're going to get locked into the bans, they're not getting Camille. I don't think it was particularly strong for Sartorius, and him going back on tanks, although Origen have looked slower, they've looked more solid. This is one of the first games Origen have just heavily lost, and we've never really felt like they were in the game at all. So if they go back to Sartorius on a tank, like a Maokai, maybe they can have a little bit more impact.
And Cabo?
Yeah, probably something like we saw Sartorius a lot on tanks, or his Rumble was pretty fine as well.
Yeah.
So if they go something like that, it's way easier to team fight, and you don't have to like pressure yourself to get a side pressure with like split pusher.
All right, we'll have to see if the 2-0 predictions will come true, as you gentlemen are both on track, or if they're going to mix it up. But we're going to tunnel into the next break. When we come back, we'll have game 2 between Origen and Splyce. Stick around.